So photos. 3 ways to get brighter photos. Either use high-end cameras that have cameras and lenses that have high availability for light. What was number 2?
Light.
Well, that was number 3. Add more light.
Shutter speed.
Shutter speed. Oh, and the 4th one is using a fast lens to get a better or to get more light into the camera. So a fast lens meaning something with a wide aperture. The prime lenses, the f-stop is the same thing as aperture. The prime lenses are the ones that are going to give you more of that availability. Those are also the more expensive ones. So I'm going to try and do as best I can to offer some suggestions with starter photo and video stuff. What's this? Duct tape?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll show you later. It's cool. So, some starter kits. Let's transition over to this again. And where are my... Here we go. So, I'm a Canon guy, but that doesn't... Let's do this, actually. Transition. There we go. That's kind of cool. There we go. So, like I said, I'm a Canon guy. I have no animosity towards Nikon or Sony. Panasonic is also big right now. But I'm going to show you kind of some Canon setup just because that's what I'm familiar with, especially that's what I'm familiar with in terms of lenses. So, start something. I mean, you can start off with like a Canon Rebel. That's their starter end SLR single lens reflex. Basically means you can take the lens off and put it back on, interchange them. So Canon Rebels, the T6, I'm not too sure about the difference of all of them, but you can get them for anywhere from $350 to $700, depending on which model. There's the T6, the T6i, and the T7i. Difference between them is usually video features. Tim, what Canon do you shoot with? Tim's a Canon guy too, which is great. So you can do any of the Rebels. I would get one that you can do video with as well. I think those start. Oops, let's transition. I think those start at the T5i. Is that right?
I think so.
I don't know. They go back to the T2i is what I remember. So I think the Rebel T5i. I could be wrong, but check. You're going to want something that does video. The newer ones you get do better video in terms of some do autofocusing, some do faster frame rates, that sort of stuff. So I would start with Canon Rebel, budget about $500 for that. And again, we'll go into other ways that you can do photos and video with less expensive equipment. But that's just like if I asked you guys, hey, if I asked my dad, how do I do Papa Voodoo, but I got a $12 budget, you're not going to get Papa Voodoo unless you get it sponsored.
Yeah.
So get sponsored. This is a great, while we're doing this, shout out to some of your sponsors, the people that help you out, that you support. Who are some of your sponsors that you love?
Well, and if you guys that have seen my stuff, especially as we get more into the animated characters, we started that with Papa Voodoo was our first one that we really got into the anime. We actually had started with Pirate Pete, and we did a combination of pneumatics and servos for him. And then when we went up to Papa Voodoo, that was really when we took our big leap and started using a lot of the stuff from Servo City, the Actibotics from Servo City, and started being able to puppeteer our characters. We actually record all these movements.
Wiper motors, right? In the shoulders?
Yeah, no, they're all servos.
Oh, damn.
All servos. In fact, everything in him, I think there's a dozen or 14 servos that run Papa Voodoo. So a lot of that comes from Servo City. Parallax is where we get our controllers that we do record our puppeteering on. as you can see with Papa Voodoo, that was before we went over to the movable eyes. Now that we get from Adafruit, and I get most of my servo or my pneumatic stuff from either Automation Direct or from Fright Props. So some of those help us out. Some of them I have to buy them just as like you guys do. But those are some of the ones that we're really using for some of these products or for some of these characters.
Tim, you got an A590. That's the one that uses a AA battery, right? So I actually started out in Best Buy selling cameras, which is how I got into this. So 590, from what I remember, was pretty decent. But low light's rough. And so the kit I'm going to recommend is probably going to be $700 or so. And so again, I understand that's expensive. But I'm trying really, really, really hard not to recommend my $4,000 kit. So, so start with the Canon Rebel. I'm sure if you go on Amazon, I wouldn't buy cameras used. Lenses you could. I wouldn't recommend buying SLRs used. People don't know how to take care of them, and it's kind of like if you people go to the desert, open it up, switch lenses, gets dust, and it's like putting diesel in your gas tank. It's horrible. Anyways, don't worry about it. Don't buy them used is my recommendation. So get something like a Rebel T5, C549. That's expensive though. And also keeping a lookout. So the T6 with 2 lenses, and these lenses are not great for low light. So there's that, but just keep an eye out because this is $449. The older version with no lens was like $549. So I would start with that. So you can probably get $400. And then if you can only do one lens, there it is. I'm just kidding. Not that one. This one. $110. You can get them. So I do all my not all my shopping. Amazon, B&H, Adorama are the 3 places I like to use. Cool. Vintage filters. The 3 places I like to use, super reputable, but this lens is the lens to go with. The 50mm f1.8. The great thing about this is the f-stop right there. And I don't want to get too technical into it, just trust me that this is a good lens. $100 is the cheapest lens you'll find, and it does really good in low light. So if you get a $400 SLR with the 50-1.8, you can do some great shots of individual props. It's not great for wide-angle stuff. This is more of it's more of a telephoto lens, so it's more zoomed in. But it's great for individual props. You can get faster moving props, and you can get wide-angle. You just have to go farther away. You go across the street or something like that. If you want something wider angle, not as fast is what they're called, if they have a fast aperture. And let me know if I'm getting too techie or if you want me to go more techie. I can either way. I'm probably going too techie because that's what I do. But if you want something more wide to get the whole shot in, this guy right here is what I use. Rokinon 14mm for Canon. So 14mm is going to give you a nice wide angle. It's fairly fast. This is one I would use on a tripod. So that way you don't get blur from your hands, but just get blur from whatever props are moving. And if you could, which he won't for me, but if you could turn off all the props, turn on all the lights, then you'll be great with this. Then you could do a longer exposure, a longer shutter speed, and you won't get that blur if you're on a tripod.
Talking about this.
Cool. So I like this lens. I used it for a while. Actually, that Papa Voodoo one I think was on this lens. Another lens won't go on it too much. Adorama 129. This is a little bit wider angle. It's also not super fast in terms of aperture, but this is another great budget lens to get low light stuff. And I just Googled this. So those are some kind of lenses that I recommend. Another thing, this is going to be more for video, but especially it works for photo too. Where's the battery? This guy right here, where is that?
It was on Amazon.
I don't know where I put it. I don't know, it's somewhere. Amazon, here we go. The newer 160 LED, $30. If you have a cell phone, a GoPro, a 5290, whatever. Whatever you have, Tim. It doesn't matter. These things work great. Let me show you real quick. It's dimmable. You can throw in, this is a Sony battery, or you can throw in 6 AA's. And if you're going to do AA's, you guys probably know better than I do, but I like Eneloop batteries. That's upside down. Eneloop, they're rechargeable. They're great. Otherwise, you're throwing away batteries every 2 seconds. Throw the battery into the back. This is weird that it's flipped. Turn the light on. Gets really bright. It gets, oh yeah, don't look at that. But it gets some nice light versus that, right?
What are they, 60 LEDs in there, Brian?
160.
160.
160 LEDs, $30. I've had this one since we started. Already cracked the screen, but it's fine. It
Still works.
So I like this thing. $30. No matter what you have, you should get one of these things. And we'll let me post the link. I'll post the link in the chat.
Okay, so Brian.
Yes.
So say I can't afford $5,000 for your big rig. I can't afford or don't want to spend, or my wife won't allow me to spend $700 or $800 for the other setup, but I do have a cell phone. What can I do to make my pictures better if that's all I got?
So shoot when you have the most light possible, but not in sunlight, right? Because sunlight, that's give you zero mood that you're looking for. So use a tripod. You just got one on Amazon for what, $30, 20 bucks?
Yep.
Little Gorilla Pod, has a mount you can put your cell phone. Use a tripod of sorts. That way you can do the longer shutter speeds. And shoot. You still want to shoot with after the sun goes down, but before it's super dark. There's probably 20, 30 minutes in there that you have time to shoot some stuff. As late as you, or right, again, after the sun sets, some cameras, I think iPhones, I know I have an Android, I can go into manual mode and say, okay, I want lighter or darker. So you can shoot around that time. Again, using fog really helps brighten up the scene, and as many lights as you can have. So if you think your haunt is well lit, probably double the amount of lights, and it's going to be dark in photos. So every year he puts in more and more lights, and I think plugs in more and more extension cords to the neighbors' houses. And every year I say, give me more lights. Even though I'm getting better cameras, faster lenses, always light is what I fight.
Okay, do you guys have any other questions on photos? We're about halfway through. I want to get into video a bit because I know that's probably where there's even greater interest. So if you don't have any questions, let's kind of transition over to talking about video and how that's different than photos. How do we have to approach this differently now once we're trying to get some video?
Allison mentioned Wish has some really cheap tripods. I've just started using Wish. If you don't know what it is, it's an app very similar to Amazon, but everything, from my understanding, comes from China. So if you need it tomorrow, it's not good, but it's great there. Instead of a phone, if you can't afford an SLR, get a used high-end compact camera. Just room for optics in a phone. Tim, great point. Not a lot of rooms for optics in a phone, but a lot of these high-end point-and-shoot cameras. I know the A series, the Canons, is the less expensive room, but once you start getting good point-and-shoots, I haven't looked for a while, but you're looking at $400, $350, somewhere like that. And that's at least when I used to sell them. That was the better ones. If you're going to go that route, look at some mirrorless options. Sony, Panasonic, Fuji, they do good as well. Not as heavy duty, but You guys are used to China shipping, so I'm not, and I hate it. But it works for things like phone chargers and stuff. Wish. So, video. So whole kind of yeah.
Tim had one question about glare off of aluminum and stuff. Paint it black.
Okay, that works. If we want to get technical, you can use things like polarizing filters. That'll help reduce glare off of aluminum. If you're shooting at the beach, unless your hunt's at the beach, call me. That'd be cool. But that'll reduce glare off that. But otherwise, matte spray paint or gaffer's tape. Well, I don't know. That's not my expertise. Or you can go super in depth and Photoshop it, and I wouldn't recommend that because that gets super heavy duty.
What about a GoPro?
GoPro I'm iffy on. So I love them for time lapse. We did the Papa Voodoo time lapse. I did a time lapse 2 years ago of you setting up. I love them for time lapse. They don't do great in low light, but they do a good job of lengthening their shutter speed for low light. So you're not going to get those fast moving, they'll look like giant blurs, but it's okay.
Okay.
I think they're about as good as a cell phone. I hate the ultra wide fisheye effect. I think it's okay in certain situations, but I don't like the wide angle fisheye effect. I think it's lame. So I spend 10 hours fixing it, and it's a pain.
Okay. All right. So let's go on to video. How's video different than photo? How do you approach it differently?
Everything's different. So it's 100% different. And so with video, you got to think about photos. If I'm taking a picture of one photo of Papa Voodoo, I could take 15 pictures of different angles, and that's 15 delivered products. That's 15 individual products. Video, I take a video clip of this, a video clip of that. I don't deliver any of those one video clips. I deliver the full video. So you got to think about it as the end final product, and that takes time and time and time to really figure out what that means. But you want to kind of think of what your end product wants to look like. And while we do this, let's transition into here, and let's find where was last year's? This one. So here you can see I actually shot this at dusk with my drone.
That was your before last, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, because I'm not narrating.
2015. So this is 2 years ago. And so you kind of want to know the flow you want to go with it. I think my gimbal wasn't working, which is why we're doing a lot of slider shots. But you kind of want to know the flow you're going to have with the video before you... Oh, that was a bad shot. Don't look at that one. Before you get the final product. So you want to kind of flow from one spot to the next. And so the last one we did was better. But... So that's kind of one way. Another way is you want motion in your video, right? So if you have static video, even if the prop is moving, that works sometimes, but otherwise it gets boring. So you want some motion in the video. So motion's big, and when you're doing motion, you want it to be smooth, right? So I'm using a slider here to get really smooth motion. I also have a gimbal, which I got it here. This is super cool. I don't usually recommend this because it's not cheap. But this is my gimbal, and what I can do is it's motorized. It's got multiple. You guys can probably tell me the motor's better on it than I can, but it has everything to where I can move it and the camera stays level, which is super cool. They have, this one is the Ronin M from DJI, the same company that makes my drone and the big drones that are out there. This is about $1,000. They have other ones that are $500 or $600. I like this one a lot. Oops. But again, you need to have the right camera on it, right? So,
and again, as you saw in the end of that video, that was all finished up, ended up there, those last shots are at dusk. And all of this stuff is with all my lights on, but you know, you can get a lot of your stuff and start to get some of the effects of your lights if you work it towards the dusk hour.
Any questions here yet?
No.
Cool. So, oh, that was it, 2016. So, talking about planning through it, you guys, I don't have the audio on it for you guys, so I'm going to walk you kind of through a couple things. And this is true for photo and video. We talked about lighting. Where'd my light go? You never want your light directly in front of someone, right? Because it's going to give them that flashy on camera. It's not great. So get a cheap tripod stand or duct tape and a PVC pole that you shove in the ground. Put it a little bit off camera. I put it on this side. That's a great face.
Yeah. That's no better.
Sorry.
Well, is that the screen you're on?
Yeah, they see this.
Okay.
See this on this side. So I have it a little bit off camera to give myself some dynamics. Great for photo and video. So any tips, even if you get this $30 light, get a couple, it uses 6 AA's, so that's cheap too. Don't put it right on top of your camera. Bring it, you can't do that. Bring it off angle and kind of give it pointed. So that's a great tip for photo or video. Get the camera off, or the light off the camera. So this one, again, talking about planning it, and this one actually has some smoother shots. Again, closer, this is a little bit later, but still dusk-esque, and I was able to darken it in post. And again, I use all the Adobe software, so I use Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, and Lightroom. Getting a good video head that pans is important. Remember I said motion's important and all these are still shots? Where's my gimbal shots? There's a slider shot.
What's a slider, Brian?
Oh, a slider is, so instead of having the camera pan so instead of doing this, right, panning, going left and right, a slider is it has the camera go on a single plane. So it'll be more like this. Or I guess you can just watch some of the good slider shots. We've made one before using open builds. It was okay. It was a little choppy, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So it was okay. But there's a gimbal shot. Oh, my gimbal wasn't working. I had to use my Steadicam. That's why we're not seeing gimbal shots. So we made it for probably, what, $60?
$50, yeah.
It was okay. You can buy cheap ones for probably $100. I got a good one for $300. I got a better one for $500. But a slider gives you that really cool sliding motion. So there's a slider shot right there.
So talk a little bit more about the planning that went into this, and the timing and the length of the video. What's your workflow when you're starting to plan out a video like this? Yeah, so I want to kind of figure out how we're going to start, finish, and kind of go through all the way. And so with this one, what we did is we actually had you narrate through it. And after I heard you narrate through each section, I go, okay, I need to get a section or a shot of the bedroom, shot of the backyard, a shot of the bathrooms, and the different props that you mentioned. So that was kind of how we started out that way. I like shorter videos. The first video we did, I think, was 13 minutes. Something like
so
that.
12 minutes.
Then it went down to 9.
And this one, I think, is just under 4 minutes. So shorter videos, the better. It's going to have your audience retain more information. If you want to do kind of a highlight reel, I think it's important to do a highlight reel, keeping it short. Next year, I'm going to get it even shorter. If you do a prop, and the prop is 15 minutes long, you can show the 15 minutes, but I think having kind of that highlight reel is important. Yeah,
so, and the reasoning, but keeping the timing down to 3 or 4 minutes versus, I want to show, I've got all these props and I want to show it in the daylight and I want to show it moving, and and everything, why do you prefer going with the shorter video? Are you losing? You think you're going to lose people?
Well, I mean, the honest truth is I look at myself as the consumer, and I'm not going to watch a 15-minute video of a haunt after 15-minute video after 15-minute video. If you keep it more manageable, people are more willing to watch longer, and I think you're going to get better audience retention. Is the truth of it. You'll get better audience retention. People will want to watch the whole thing, but if you show the 2 minutes of Papa Voodoo and 3 minutes of Pete and 3 minutes of Big Red, it's just going to be too long, and it's not watchable for the masses. Again, you got to know your audience, and that kind of comes to a different aspect of it. Of if you wanted to show, you just got to know your audience and know what they want to see. So if you want to show it and get more views and activity on things like Facebook and YouTube to the general public, a shorter video with highlights of each thing is great. Now, if you want to do something to the animatronics community, showing the 4 minutes of the whole thing is good.
So you would think that for the general haunt video, keeping that short, keeping people engaged, getting them to watch the whole video, and then having follow-up videos that show the props in detail, and then linking back to those and recommending people. One, you're going to increase your view count,
exactly,
and hopefully more subscribers on your channel. Also then they can just go back and look, if they're only interested in Papa Voodoo, they can go back and just watch that one particular follow-up video.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when you're doing a video, say that even that under 4 minute video that we did for this last year for our haunt, how many different video clips are there in that did you actually take when you were filming that?
You know, I don't. Let me transition here. I don't have that video on this computer. I have it on my computer at home. But I kind of want to show you. I just did a video for our East County Eats series. Let's load this up. So this was actually a longer video. This was an 8-minute video. Goodness gracious. I hope you guys have already eaten, because this is delicious.
Yeah, I haven't had dinner yet. I'm going to be hungry after watching this.
So, each one of these little, each cut here is a different video clip. So, I mean, in that one video that we did, I probably had 100 cuts. It's hard to say, but a ton of cuts. Having quick cuts, keeping people interested, kind of little teasers, I think is the, well, I know in using all this is the key to getting longer term engagement.
Okay. So instead of even like our haunt, where you could have walked through, and we have in our old videos, where you just kind of walked through and you had kind of had the dead spaces you were walking between scenes and everything. Now all of that is removed in post, and you're just highlighting on the individual props that we're really trying to showcase.
Miles, you're 100% right. Short videos draw people in, and if they want more information, longer videos, which is great. We've done a couple prop kind of explainer videos, which I think worked out really well. And but yeah, the short videos I think are the way to go for haunt videos if you want your friends and family and neighbors to watch the whole video. Because I guarantee you, if you're giving them a 15-20 minute video, 90% of them aren't getting past 5 minutes. I mean, that's just how it is. Might have to be done about 10 or 15. Tim, if it's burgers from Nicky Rotten's, I'm coming over. But I don't think it is. Tim,
yeah, that's
go ahead.
One thing that is definitely a pet peeve, especially mine. When I watch a lot of haunt videos every year, you know, it's that we're getting all the videos in now from the Davises, and we just had Dead with Daves and everything, and it really gets me. I know I'm hitting fast forward if somebody's showing me the same prop 3 times. I saw it once, I'm happy with that, let's go on, get to the next thing. if I really want to see that particular prop in greater detail, make me a new video that's just centered on that. Otherwise, I'm just going to fast forward through it. Or worse yet, I'm just going to go on to the next video. I'll get bored. So
speaking of, I don't know if I want to go into this. So how you make, or how we make longer videos more exciting to watch is if we're doing one prop, we'll do it from multiple angles. So like we did Papa Voodoo, which we already showed, but let's see what else we've done that way. I think we did Pete, but let's see. Jarvis. I don't remember. We did Papa Voodoo. Big Red. So Big Red, what we did is chicken and rice. Sounds good. We did. We did this. So I had multiple cameras. So this was a little bit of B-roll that I put over top, because he says, "Welcome to the Red Raven Inn." I do multiple cameras so we can show different angles while still showing the same prop. That's going to be one way to make the single prop videos more exciting. So this gets even more complicated because we're using multiple cameras, syncing it in post. I think, I know, and I'm sorry for the bad audio in the beginning, audio is a huge part of a video, and having clean audio is super important. So what I do is I record with all my cameras. I have audio recorded. Sometimes I'll use my microphones, but this is just backup audio. And then I will take the audio from my dad. He'll send me the voice overlay and sync that up in post, as well as put some kind of music behind it to give it some kind of ambiance.
And that's certainly one thing, being able to do that in post and add your audio on top of it. We're always talking about, how do we get the servo noise and cover the servo noise? Well, that's how we cover the servo noise in video. You can't do it live, but you can do that by adding the track in post. And I just got back from Legacy Effects, a second visit to Legacy Effects. And for those of you that don't know, Legacy does a lot of the Hollywood special effects, Terminator and Jurassic Park and Avatar, and they've done all of those. And we started talking audio, and the guys that were building the mechanisms go, well, we don't have to worry about audio or servo noise or anything like that, because none of what we do is going to ever make it to the final product. All the audio is done in post. So we've kind of taken ours to that level as well.
Tim likes your behind-the-scenes stuff with all the animatronics.
Well, good. Well, we did that with the witch scene. That was kind of a. In fact, when we played that witch scene, that one right there.
Yeah.
This actually was the video from the very first run of our puppeteering. This was kind of scary, taping this with our very first run. You guys very rarely get to see our very first shot when we plug it in and hit, walk in front of the PIR and get it to work. So I know there's a lot of background clutter and everything, but that was the object here, was just to try and show you guys that are really interested in what it looks like underneath, the dress, how these things really work. So
here's a trick that you may want to just kind of keep in mind in future. The eyes flicker at a certain frequency, and changing your shutter speed can kind of adjust for that. So usually around 1/50th of a second or 1/60th of a second, you got to kind of play around with it. You can catch the eyes fluttering, and I think we did a good job. Let's see how well we did here. So a lot less flicker because we did a slower shutter speed. Again, you see the light is off this way, giving it some contrast. So that's a little trick about the eyes.
Yeah, I love those eyes. I probably will never do servo-driven eyes again. I'm really dialed in with those eyes from Adafruit. And I know Steve B is working on the new boards, the new Banshee boards. One of these days, we'll be able to run these eyes off of the Banshee boards with a 3-axis controller. So it'll all be done through the Banshee board. So
And I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
That's cool.
they do.
They do.
They know what it is.
That's fine.
So, okay, running down on time. Couple things. What do you do in post? We talked a little bit about audio. We talked a little bit about clips. You know, a lot of people are really big on, you know, how do I transition from one video clip to the next?
Yeah.
I do these big crossfades and everything, and
I like
we hate.
I like two transitions, and I'm actually starting to do some that are more complicated, but I won't talk about those. Crossfade, where it just let me crossfade right here, right there. That's an easy, slow crossfade, where one video goes into the other. The other one I like, hard cuts. Let me do cut. Hard cuts. Those are the two I like. I like to sync it up with audio. Sometimes depending on the audio, if you get ones that have a heavy beat, I like to cut it on the beat. Some clips work better with a fade, some work better with a cut. Just kind of play around with it and see what works better for you. Try not to do all the same one though. So don't only do cuts, don't only do fades, flip it up. If you're using a slider, a homemade, or anything else like that, I find I do this a lot myself. I like to go from left to right, left to right, left to right. Well, it gets really annoying when you watch a video and every cut is left to right. So make sure you do some right to lefts. I like to do every other one if I can. So post. Cut the clip short. So if you think it's short enough, probably half of that. I don't like to do clips typically longer than 2 or 3 seconds. That's pretty long for a clip. Video software, Dan. I use all Adobe products. Final Cut is a great product as well. I know Avid is another great product. I just don't use those. I use the Adobe Cloud software. So $50 a month, I get Photoshop, Lightroom, Premiere, After Effects are the 4 that I use. Premiere and After Effects are my video. Photoshop and Lightroom are my photo. I told you this earlier, and I'm pretty sure that you can do it for a month at a time. So you get all your footage, pay $50 or $10 if you're only doing. I think if you're doing just photos, it's $10 for Photoshop and Lightroom. So use it for a month, then cancel it. Easy peasy. $50 gives you everything. If you're only doing video, I think it's $20 a month for Premiere. You can use the free software. My dad does all the free software. We've been able to find almost everything that I've been looking for. Anything from speeding things up or slowing things down, flipping it, changing the size, video overlays. We've been able to find almost everything. It's just not as smooth. You're not getting as many tutorials. And so I use it for work. I like Adobe Premiere. Yeah.
Okay. And then we wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between when you've got your video put together and what do you do with it now? I built this nice video, and I've got a YouTube channel, and I've got a Facebook page. Where do I want to post these? Do I want to post it to both? What's the difference? How do I link? If I've got a Facebook page, do I just link to my YouTube videos, or is there a better way? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think it's, so one, you want to upload natively to each platform. Each platform has a little bit of different audience, as I'm sure you guys know, Facebook versus Instagram versus YouTube. But you want to upload natively to each platform, and really kind of where you want to spend your time is where you want to build your community, and that's a different question. I know my dad's done his on YouTube primarily, but obviously coming into Facebook, I've done our video series on Facebook primarily. If you're going to post a video to Facebook, don't post the link from YouTube, upload it to Facebook.
From your computer, you want to upload directly to Facebook.
Correct. Upload directly to Facebook, upload directly to YouTube, you have to upload directly to Instagram. If you do it, Instagram's only a minute clip at a time, so there's that. Tim, I'll get to your question in a second. But uploading natively is important because each platform will show its native videos better. And I guess this really only applies to Facebook because you can't link the other way. But if you put a YouTube link, especially on mobile devices where people are spending all their time, You got to click on it and it opens up YouTube and then the app. It's a pain in the ass. So I recommend against it. Upload to Facebook. It autoplays. You can still see all your stats. Who said it earlier about the short videos going to long videos? Miles. Miles, a great way to build, if you want to build your YouTube, is do little teaser clips on Facebook and then say for the full video, click on this link, send them to YouTube that way. But upload things natively to Facebook. Tim, stopping light halos when shooting video. Great question. People call them flares, halos. Couple things. You'll get more flaring on more bulbous lenses. So lenses that look like this, where are we? That have a bulb. This is a ultra wide angle. It's not fisheye, but you'll get more flaring on stuff like that. So using longer lenses, more telephoto lenses, will get you less flare. Also, these things, lens hoods. They're cheap. I use them at all times in all my lenses. They're $20. A lot of lenses come with them. They're great because they help if you bump into stuff. They help protect it, but otherwise they help cut down on the glare. Different lenses have different sensitivity. Shooting straight into the light is tough. You're going to get glare. Shooting with light. So if you have the option, put the light behind your camera, and you won't be getting those glares. If what happens when you get those is the light is hitting the front element of the lens and giving you those weird halos. LEDs on costumes are the worst. Yeah, if they're pointing out, they're going to give you those glares or those halos, and you're stuck with it. So,
Fix them in post?
Nope.
Nope.
I mean, maybe if you're in Hollywood, I don't know how to. But okay, there are ways to do it. I know.
What's the hood for?
Sorry. So a lens hood covers the lens. And like I said, I like it it protects the lens, so I use it always in case something bumps into it. I carry this over my shoulder so I bump into a prop or anything like that. But it also it's kind of like, what do they call those visors in your car? It's like a car visor. It does the same thing. So it blocks light going directly into your lens from different angles.
Okay.
She didn't. Now I explain. She knows what a hood was. I didn't read it. That's what the hood's for.
Okay, so we're wrapping up. We're finishing up gone over our hour here, but I wanted to touch just a little bit about any thoughts you might have, social media-wise, for increasing the views that you get on your videos. What does Facebook provide? To be able to improve those views and get more activity on your videos.
Yeah, so this isn't going to be the best answer, but organic reach on Facebook is pretty nominal. They've really cut that down. So if you really, really want to get views, paying to promote it is the way to do it. I'll give you some tips to not pay for it too. The cool thing about paying to promote it is you can be super specific. So say you want to become a animator for Disney, or for Disney. Let's say you want to be a Imagineer, right? You can go, okay, I'll make this really cool prop, make a really cool video, and then I can advertise to people that work at Disney and that make over $200,000, and basically try and narrow down who you're targeting. You can also go and go, okay, I want more people to come to my haunt. I want to focus on people in San Diego that have kids, whatever. So that's one way. That's the paid way. That's the best way. The other way is engagement. So likes, comments, shares. Shares is the best. Having your friends, family, your sponsors, your friends, your haunters share your video. The more shares you get, Facebook goes, hey, this is a good video. Let's let other people see it. So they'll start giving you more organic boost. Sharing it into groups. Again, having friends share it. Those are huge ways. Share it into like the Haunters Hangout groups. Any other, you can do animatronic groups. I would even share it in San Diego. We have neighborhood specific groups. So what's happening in Santee or El Cajon around. I made that one up. I don't think that's a real one. So sharing it in groups is a great way to do it.
Okay.
Yes, the end.
All right, guys. Well, we've gone over our hour by just a few minutes. Just to kind of build on what Brian said, please share the video, like the video.
Also respond to comments. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I said like, comment, share. When people comment, I always like to ask questions and build conversations. You'll get more comments. Facebook will say it's better. So comment. When people comment, respond to it, even if it's just thanks or you too or whatever.
Okay. All right, guys. One thing before we log off here for tonight, we will not be doing, or I will not be doing Facebook Live next week.
Me either.
I will be, huh? Yeah. Neither will Brian. Filling in. So next week's a week off. The week after that is Father's Day weekend. I could probably do another one at 6 o'clock on Father's Day. If you guys are going to be here, if nobody is going to watch, I'm not going to take away from my Father's Day to come and do a video. So post down in the comments if you'd be willing to watch on Father's Day.
Good call to action to get
yeah,
more.
There you go.
There it is.
And if we do Father's Day, I'm not sure what we would do, but the part of why I will not be here next week is I will be in Denver, and part of my trip is supposedly I will be visiting at Distortions with the Edmonds. So hopefully we'll have some new material to talk about for that. So guys, thank you very much for joining us tonight. I want to really thank Brian for taking the time to share his knowledge and all this information with us. And I will see you either in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks, depending on how you respond. So
if you have questions, post them. If you have questions for me, tag me, post them down below. I'm happy to share any links or anything that I can offer.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much. Good night. Go to dinner.
Adios.
Good night.
Or to bed if you're East Coast.
The East Coast, right.